Alright, get ready for this matchup. This should be a very entertaining matchup. This matchup is Nara versus fOrGG, and this is for the GomTV MSL Season 3. This should be a very exciting matchup. Nara is just a very entertaining player. He likes to do very creative builds, very creative moves, and he always seems to be able to please the crowd when he plays the game. So no matter what happens, no matter what the outcome of this game, I believe it should be a pretty exciting matchup. And here we see fOrGG, and he is a Terran player, and he's pretty consistent, and I think he should be able to play pretty well against Nara. Nara isn't as consistent, but he's had the expertise. He's been on the scene for a very long time. So the game is just about to begin. This is going to be on Blue Storm for the GomTV MSL3, and as we see the game start, we are going to find out where they are going to start. It is a two-player map, and so we see that fOrGG is at the top right at 1 o'clock, and Nara is at the bottom left at 7 o'clock. So this is a two-player map, so both the players know where they are, and both of them know each other's locations. The one thing I'd have to note is recently a lot of players have been doing these fast expand builds, such as 14 Nexus or 14 Command Center. That would be a very bad move, however, on this map, because this map, the natural is pretty far from the main, and it can be flanked on multiple fronts, and it's also very hard to defend in general. So I believe in this matchup both the players will be playing pretty standard, not going for that macro, fast macro that most of these players do nowadays. But you do see Nara making the pylon near his base, near his choke, and this could be a little bit of a tactic to kind of wall off the area, maybe try and stop a scout from getting in. So maybe Nara will be doing some kind of surprise build, and we see that fOrGG is making his barracks first. This is a little bit risky. It seems he will be trying to do a rush. He's not going to need a scout, so he will be able to attack Nara straight off. Usually a supply depot goes up first, but you see that fOrGG is going to wall this place off. I'm not sure if he is going to rush, but that is an early barracks. Usually not standard. Usually the supply depot comes before the barracks, and then the refinery comes at the same time as the barracks. So looking for a rush for fOrGG, and Nara has a slightly late gateway. He's actually not making his gateway yet, and it looks like he's actually going to expand. So it's going to be very risky for him, because fOrGG could create a couple of Marines pretty quickly and do some major damage. But doesn't, and he is starting to make his Marines. This could also be a fast tech build, but I'm not sure if it is. It looks like fOrGG is actually trying to do a small rush. Unfortunately for him, this probe is going to be able to get in and scout it, and Nara will probably cancel one of his buildings, maybe his Nexus. Actually, he won't, but it's up to him to see if he can micro this off. One SCV and one Marine coming down. Fast tech here, not fast tech, it's just a refinery. But Nara is a little bit in danger here. You can see he's pulling a couple of probes. He's not going to have a zealot in time by the Marine gets there. So this is a little bit of a risky position for Nara. He's trying to block this reinforcement Marine from coming in. Very nice job there. Rally point set by fOrGG allows him to not get past, and it delays the Marine for a little bit. This Marine has to dodge those probes as best as it can, because there's two probes over here, and they are going to start trying to kill that Marine. fOrGG has to micro this very well if he wants to deal some damage. However, more probes being pulled out for Nara, and Nara is getting his first zealot. He is making two gateways because he knows he will have to make a couple of zealots in order to defend. More probes being pulled out, and it doesn't look like fOrGG is going to be able to do any more damage. He just wasn't able to get enough reinforcements because zealot is out now, and he's not going to really be able to do much damage. So Nara pretty prepared for this. We see the factory is coming up for fOrGG, and I'm not sure if Nara did get his assimilator yet. Because he did do a fast expand, he probably will have a little bit of a later tech, trying to go for a tech build for a macro and macro game instead. But you see his assimilator is actually up, and he is getting his cybernetics core. But he is a little bit behind. He has a pretty low probe count, but it will be saturated pretty shortly. And this first zealot coming in, trying to contain a little bit, trying to make sure that no scouts get through. because Nara does not want fOrGG to know what he's doing. Right here we see Nara, both of them are playing a pretty standard thing. I have to say at this point, because Nara did make 2 gates, he probably is going to go Dragoons. He could go for Reavers at this point. However, if he went for Reavers, it'd be a little bit late because he had to defend against that rush, and he's doing a macro build by getting that expansion up. So the first Vulture up, and it does have its speed. Actually, it doesn't have its speed upgraded. So I'm a little bit curious as to what Nara is going to do to protect against that. He doesn't have any Dragoons out yet, and he really doesn't want to lose any probes to that Vulture. He already lost 1 probe, and it looks like fOrGG is going to take his mineral only, but he hasn't taken his natural yet. So at this point we see a robotics facility coming up, probably up for observers, but it could also be for Reavers. The one thing I noticed is we see that fOrGG is going to start pushing out right now. Something I saw was Nara completely walled off his choke with those buildings, and that's going to be very nice for him because he will be able to defend against vultures very easily. He doesn't have to worry about his main getting attacked by vultures, except for by drops. And the only problem with this is that his natural doesn't have too much room to make too many gateways, so eventually he's probably going to have to get out. He's probably going to be stuck in his base, but we see the first tank out and a couple of Marines and Vultures, and these 2 Dragoons are going to have to get out of there. Nara at this point is a little bit ahead, I would say, not in terms of army size. However, I think he is ahead in terms of macro. He does have his 2 bases up, and they are pretty saturated at this point. He does not have any good scout or idea what fOrGG is doing at this point, though. fOrGG is taking this time to push out. A little bit hard for this Terran push because the fatter units cannot go through the middle, but there is a high ground advantage, so this can be considered a little bit favoring for Terran. They can't go exactly through the middle with their bigger units, however they do have the high ground advantage, so it's a pretty balanced map. And we see here that these Vultures just going around placing mines everywhere, making sure that Nara doesn't expand. Looks like Nara was thinking about taking an expansion over there. Those Vultures do not spot it though, and this could be another risky position for Nara because he doesn't have many units. He is getting his robotic support bay, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to use those effectively. He does have some units being put into this shuttle, and he probably will go and do some harassment. I don't think he has his Reaver yet because his robotics was still building. But he's probably going to try and see what's going on over here. Probably try and lure those mines to the tanks. And 1 mine goes off. Two mines go off. And 2 mines go off. This is actually pretty good by Nara. But there's just another tank up here. Going to start picking off those probes.